Brothers Jack and Frank Baker have been playing together as a duo for 15 years, traveling the bars and lounge clubs of Seattle, making a living from music. Their repertoire consists mostly of schlagers that have become so familiar to audiences that they barely have a spark of inspiration left. Frank, the eldest of the brothers, views this duo as a stable business and his life. He enjoys managing all aspects of their career, from choosing venues to promoting the band. His approach to music is rather pragmatic. He realizes that his place in this business is not as a performer but as a manager. For him, it's a job and he's getting used to the monotony of it. He makes sure that they have enough work, that everything is organized and coherent. Jack, unlike his brother, has long been frustrated that their musical life has become routine. There is no renewal in their songs, not a drop of freedom. He suffers from the fact that their music is outdated, but still plays it because there is no other way for him. Jack isn't particularly eager to improve his skills or work on something new. He's content with what he has. Instead of looking for new directions in music or pursuing creative endeavors, Jack stays in his comfortable but boring zone. His personal life is also far from being satisfying. Jack often engages in meaningless one-night stands without attempting a real relationship. An aging Labrador named Eddie lives in his apartment, and that is probably the only attachment he has left in his life. Nina, the girl who lives in the apartment next door, also represents something of a constant in Jack's life. She is lonely, helpless, searching for love and attention. Her mother is abandoned in search of new romantic pursuits, and Nina, like Jack, lives alone. Jack becomes her unofficial protector, spending time with her, helping out around the house, becoming an older friend to her, but unlike his brothers, he doesn't attempt a more serious relationship. He simply fulfills the role of support, but without a deep connection. By this point, the situation with their music careers is starting to become critical. Despite Frank's attempts to maintain a steady income, the audience in bars is no longer so actively interested in their performances. Some venues are even starting to discuss lowering their prices for performances. Frank, despite his outward optimism and practicality, realizes that they have reached their limit. He decides to make a move that he believes could change their musical destiny. He suggests adding a female singer to their duo. Believing that a duet with a woman on stage would add dynamics and appeal, he finds the money to audition new candidates. The auditions become an ordeal full of awkward moments when, despite promises, none of the girls are able to fill the stage with what is needed for their duet. No one seems interested in their quest until Susie Diamond shows up. Susie is completely different. She is a woman of character and charisma, exuding confidence and spontaneity. She shows up late, not afraid of being late, and seems to draw attention to herself, making everyone look at her. It is immediately noticeable that her appearance and demeanor are only part of her charm. She stands out among the other candidates and makes the brothers really think. Her voice is velvety, soulful, and sensual, which makes her performance a rare success. Susie fits into this musical group quite naturally as she begins to sing, and it would seem that her lack of shyness and confidence on stage becomes what was lacking in the Baker duo. Frank immediately decides that she is the perfect fit for the group. Jack, however, is reticent. He feels that her arrival will not only make the band successful, but will eclipse them as performers. He begins to feel that her star will be brighter than their own. But despite his doubts, Susie becomes part of their band. Immediately after Susie joins their duo, the changes begin. She brings not only her voice, but the way she interacts with the audience. Her confidence on stage, style, and charisma attracts audiences who begin to return to their performances. The venues that previously lost interest in their band are now willing to pay more for them. The duo comes to life and the brothers begin to see it as a definite success. At the same time, it changes their relationship. The outside success causes all three to rethink their place in the band. However, the conflicts between Jack and Susie begin to escalate. Jack continues to feel that she overshadows their duo too much, while Susie bluntly tells him that he's losing his chances for something more because he's afraid to open up. She sees so much more in him than he is capable of seeing in himself. Their contradictions grow with every new performance, with every look, with every remark of Susie, who is not afraid to express her opinion about his musical abilities and his life in general. One evening after another performance, Jack decides to approach Susie to talk. He realizes that her frankness and her outlook on life may change something in his perception. She's not going to play by the rules, she's not going to stick to the norm, and that's just what he needs to understand himself. During their conversation, they both reveal their vulnerability. She talks about her past, how she has been searching for herself for a long time, and how her life has been full of failures, and how she has come to the point where she now finds the strength to be open. Jack in turn begins to realize that his own silence and fear of change has kept him from reaching his potential. Despite these revelations, however, their relationship doesn't get any easier. Susie decides to leave the duo, tired of the constant conflicts with Jack and feeling that her creativity is too limited within the confines of this collective. Frank, on the one hand, is disappointed that their collective is falling apart, but on the other hand, he realizes that it will be impossible to continue without her. Jack, feeling that he has lost not only a colleague but also something important in his life, decides to find Susie and get her back. He finds her in her apartment, but she adamantly refuses to return to the duo. In their conversation, Susie gives him some final advice. She tells him that he must stop being afraid to reveal himself, that he must accept himself for who he is and find his way. This revelation becomes a defining moment for Jack. He realizes that his life should not be tied to what he does out of habit, that he needs to be honest with himself. At the end of the movie, Jack returns to jazz. He stops playing to order and starts doing what he really enjoys: improvising, developing his own ideas, and being in tune with himself. Frank decides to pursue teaching music, passing on his knowledge and experience to others, while Susie continues to perform, finding her way and becoming more and more successful. Although their paths diverged, they each found themselves and found their own way to happiness.